I've always been a bigger brother, so it's like I was wearing these shorts, these cargo shorts, this black shirt with a black graphic tee, and then these like reflective black dunks.
Very Seattle.
And I were very Seattle. I had my locks. I just got them twisted up. I was feeling fresh. And I remember walking on that campus and immediately felt like a bum.
What's up, everybody? I go by the name of Domo.
And I go by the name of Yoshiko.
And each week, we sit down with cultural ambassadors
to talk about how they defied societal norms
to live their lives
with no blueprint.
That is a very hard question. I'll say that culture is probably a collection of practices and traditions. I would say that it's just what you do and how you do it, and the finesse or the pizzazz in which you do what you do. And I feel as that spans over time, it becomes a culture. So, a lot of people talk about countercultures, and then as more people adapt that counterculture, and as more people see it as the norm, it becomes culture. Mm-hmm. So I just feel like it's what you do in your traditions.
Right.
Nice.
Where were the first places that you got your understanding of culture?
I think it was something that I was understood throughout my life. I think my mother instilled the ideal of culture in me very early. Just really wanted me to know who I was as a black man in America. So we've always talked about it. Even in church. I grew up going to church for the first half of my life, and we talked about it in church, talked about it in like our youth groups and things like that. And I think it was just always there. In school, I went to Madrona, so at first I went to school with my grandfather at first, and then went to Madrona, and Madrona was blacker than black. You know what I'm saying? it was the school. I feel like the school was like 80% black back in the day. And so we always learned about our culture. We were always taught, and it was always something that we talked about.
For sure. And for folks listening, where is Madrona?
Madrona is in Madrona in the Central District of Seattle. Yeah, so I was in second grade. So that was, like 1998, 1997, something like that.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then paint that picture for me. Central, just like the whole Central District community school.
Growing up in the
up.
area.
Yeah.
So it was interesting actually, because my mom is not from, my parents are not from Seattle. So she's from Kansas City. She moved here when she was about 15. My grandparents and my uncles, they all moved as well. And so initially, I grew up with the sense, I actually felt like I was not from Seattle growing up. So I didn't really have that tie until later on in my life. I was just I actually used to lie and tell people I was from Detroit because my dad's from Detroit. I first went to school at Zion Prep. And so if you're from Seattle, I feel like everybody went to Zion Prep. It was it was the preschool for black children. You just went, and everybody from all over the city.
Yeah.
And then also we went to church in the South End.
Okay.
And so, quiet as kept.
Yeah.
I've always loved the South End.
Okay.
Always loved the South End. Because it was like the South almost,
Yeah.
like that feel, that energy. But so I went to Zion Prep, and then I went to school with my grandfather at BF Day over in Fremont. And so he taught there for a number of years. And so it wasn't until second grade when I went to Madrona that I actually finally went to school in the CD. That was definitely a different cultural change because I've never, like, in my older years, hadn't gone to school with majority black students.
Right.
And preschool doesn't really count, I feel like. But when you're going, like, when you're in, like, actually in that learning environment, so it was good. Like, you know, that was a class we watched Roots. In that class, we watched
elementary
In
school?
second grade?
elementary school.
Actually, I watched Roots in
Yeah.
like 3rd or 4th grade.
I don't know. I've seen Roots probably at my grandmother's house, but I had to be real young.
Yeah, it was real
Yeah.
young. Like, you know, we was always talking about, you know, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, you know, Medgar Evers and things like that, learning about these icons in our community. And that was my introduction into the CD. You know, everybody, and it's funny because, you know, you still, like, you go to that school and everybody, like I said, everybody went to Madrona. Either you went to Madrona or Leschi.
Right.
And I feel like, or maybe, you know, Madrona, Leschi, TT Minor.
Right.
And so,
TT Minor.
yeah. Nobody ever wanted to go to TT Minor because they didn't have no summers. They didn't.
Damn it.
They did not get summers, but they used to get 3-week breaks in the middle of nowhere.
Wow.
Yeah, but
It's like, we're not going to get you no summer.
yeah, man. I just remember being able to get on the bus for a penny
Yeah.
because we would have to walk up that. Because if you know, Union, you get to walk up a big hill to get there.
Right.
So the bus drivers used to let us on for a penny at the bottom of the hill just to get up to school.
Nice. Nice.
I just remember going over to the Madrona market, and everybody used to steal from that market, steal candy and donuts, and then you go over there during run out of school during lunchtime, and then run back,
Right.
or right before you hopped on the bus to go home.
In elementary school?
Elementary school.
Listen,
Oh man, there was no rule. There was
they
no
said
rules.
we are not staying on campus.
Oh no. Oh no. Oh no.
Eat school lunch?
Nah. Oh no! I used to get the hot wings. They used to have these cold hot wings that you could buy over there, and I used to take those and take it back to the microwave.
Listen, where'd you get that, son? Yo, principal be like, yo, pick me up some chicken wings
Yeah, pretty.
on your way back. Don't tell nobody.
Oh man.
That's such a common story with folks from Seattle, specifically black folk from Seattle. When we think about, oh, I'm not from Seattle. I've been here. I lived in Kent since I was 7. But whenever anyone asked me where I was from, my family was from New Orleans and from Alexandria, Louisiana. And so it was like, where are you from? I'm from Louisiana, because our roots were not tied to the Pacific Northwest. And for so many of us, like, we don't trace multiple generations back in the Pacific Northwest, and so it was hard to really claim Seattle as home. So that's very interesting.
That's interesting because I guess from my experience, I was born here, but people don't assume that. They're always like, where are you from? And I'm like, Seattle. No, but where are you from?
Oh yeah.
Where are you from? I'm like, Beacon Hill? But no, but where are you from? What are you? And I'm like, what, human? I don't understand. What are you trying to ask? I mean, I do know what they're trying to ask, right? But I just
You gotta
fuck
give
with
them a
them.
hard time. You gotta give them a
Yeah.
hard time.
So I'm just like, huh? Earth? What? Yeah. Yeah. So that's funny that you could interpret that question in so many ways. Where are you from?
How did your family get to Kansas City? And how
Kansas
long were
City.
they in Kansas City and Detroit?
Oh, that's interesting. You know, I don't know the full story, but I know my grandmother was from Little Rock, Arkansas, and she went to college in Jackson, Missouri. I think it's called Jackson State, something like that, in Missouri. And my grandfather was born in Brownsville, Missouri, and he went to the same college. That's how they met.
Okay.
And then they moved to Kansas City. I mean,
Wow.
the bigger city, obviously, because but they were both teachers.
Yeah.
And they were both teachers, and my grandmother was a teacher in the Catholic schools, and so she was a music teacher.
Okay.
And so they wanted to go to the bigger markets, have the bigger schools. So there you go. On my dad's side, I think my grandfather was from Ohio, somewhere in Ohio, and my grandmother was born in Detroit. So I think I don't know. Detroit was. I mean, this is Motor City,
Right.
so they were during that time where Detroit was. If you
Detroit.
was Detroit, so I think it was just a natural energy to get there. So,
how come? Why did your family come to Seattle?
man, my aunt is a jazz singer and she sings internationally. And when she moved up here to be a part of the scene, and she would tell my grandfather about Seattle, and he was always he liked new things, new experiences, wanted to try different things. He didn't want to live in like that kind of southern atmosphere anymore. And so, yeah. And I think Kansas City is interesting because like right in that Midwest, line, Midwest South line kind of thing. But so I think she was telling him about Seattle. They came up to visit her. They liked it. My grandmother and my mom moved up first, and then my grandfather and my uncles moved up next. And so
the whole family migrated.
The whole family moved, because it was like I wanted new opportunities. New opportunities, a different landscape. You know what I'm saying? My grandfather was eating tofu back in the 50s.
Hey, get it in.
No black people was eating tofu back then. I'm playing. But yeah, he always wanted new experiences. He always wanted something different for his life. He always was a forward thinker, a very positive man, very open-minded, and just wanted to experience all that he could.
Right.
And so I think he wanted to give that to his children as well, and he knew that Kansas City wasn't going to be that for them.
Right.
It's like, it's a lot of trouble, so he wanted to kind of change the game a little bit, and so that's why they moved up here.
What year was that?
So I would say 1985.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dang. Reagan.
1985. Yeah. And they moved to Renton.
Okay.
So they were out in Renton. My mom went to Renton High School.
Oh.
So and then they went to the Seed of Abraham where my uncle played, my grandmother played. I don't know if my grandmother played there. She always was in the Catholic school.
Okay.
Catholic scene.
And you said your grandparents went to college.
Yes.
So tell me about the role of education in your family.
Oh, it was big. It was always expected of me to go to college.
Huh.
It was always, I come from, like, my great-grandmother went to college.
Wow.
So, it was like, they were educators.
Yeah.
They were all educators. My
teachers,
great-grandmother was a preacher. My grandparents were teachers. Yeah. My uncle was a teacher. My aunt, everybody teaches right now.
Wow.
Pretty much. So education is very big. Knowledge is very big for us.
Yes.
It's always expected to know more, always expected to read about what you want to know about, and kind of, just, follow that lineage. Yeah.
What was that like growing up in Seattle, going to Seattle public schools, which I'll let you take it from there.
Oh man, it was horrible, bro. I'm gonna tell you. I guess I started off like like I said, my grandfather used to give me math books. He taught me how to play chess. Was always reading. And like I was very interested in education I was very interested in learning and education as a young child. And then so I went to Lowell Elementary School after I went to Majona. So my mom pulled me out of Majona. She was like, nah, it's a little too ratchet. We're not in Seattle for that. I'm not gonna do that. So she put me into Lowell, which is an APP program.
Right.
And so it was advanced placement located on North Capitol Hill. Basically, it was a public school, but you had to test to get in it, to get in the school. So it was a public school, but it's really a private school.
Right.
And so it really was like the way that they kind of said, hey.
Educational loopholes.
So so I went there, and actually when I was there, I was cool. So like, although I was the only black male child in my class, but I still loved education. I didn't know any different. Right. And so I do remember that third grade, that's when I realized that I was black. Mm-hmm. So going into the class and realizing like, hey, people don't look, it's a different vibe. Then I went to middle school. and I went to Washington Middle School, where they still had the APP program, but they also had Spectrum and regular programs as well. But Spectrum and regular would sometimes be in the same class, but APP was a totally different structure. So it was like 2 schools within one, and I was in the midst of all these. Like, the school was like 60% black, but I was in classes with all white kids.
That's crazy.
And that's when I started to feel like it was a strong sense of like disconnect and anger and like sadness. Like, I was going through it. Like, I was going through it. I would go to the counselor and be like, I want out. I don't want to be here anymore. I want to be, just put me in the regular classes.
Right.
I don't care. Like, because I mean, it's not like I said, like, these classes, it's not like they're extra hard or anything.
Right.
It's not like we're learning anything that I couldn't learn in another class, but it's just like you're in this class setting.
And you're,
so
and
it
you're
was
a
hard,
7th
man.
grader, like in middle school.
Yeah,
So
6th, 7th, and 8th grade, man.
Right.
It was hard. I struggled very much so.
Wow.
And I actually started to hate school.
Right.
So, like, by the time I got to 8th grade, I hated school by that time.
Wow.
And you could see the trajectory of, like, my grades. Like, I started off real on a high level, you know, A's. And then, you know, for me, getting all B's in 8th grade, I used to get in trouble for that. But
Right.
getting all B's, that was like a downward trend for me.
Right.
And so, like, I really did hate school at that point. Like,
So
hey.
And it wasn't because of the material or like the things you were learning. It was the environment itself.
Yeah, it was the environment. I felt ostracized. I felt like, why am I the only one here? It's not even like I was treated differently. It was more, and I will admit that it was a lot in my own mind, being like, why am I here? Like, why am I not able to be with the people that I want to be with, kick it with the people that I want to kick it with, you know, be in a class setting and learn together. But you're putting me in this whole other classroom, this whole other environment with people that, yes, I've been in school with these cats for years at this point. But at the same time, I always felt different. I always felt like the only one. I always felt alone. And it didn't feel good. And I knew something was wrong with it. And I was just like, I don't like this at all. And so it wasn't until 8th grade where one of my best friends to this day, he moved to Seattle and he got into the APP program. And he was black as well. And so we connected, and I was like, what?
Nice.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes. And I'm like, okay, this is the best, you know, like, let's do it. You know what I'm saying? So,
nice.
yeah.
Nice.
So then you go to Garfield,
Yeah.
right? Automatically, right? Because the APP program, yeah.
Although my mom did not want me to go to Garfield. She was
Oh, really?
I applied to Lakeside, Old Day, Seattle Academy, which, looking back, I wish I had applied myself to go to Seattle Academy because their arts program is crazy. But yeah, she sent me to all those. She said, and I was like, no. I want to go to Garfield. I want to go to Garfield. And I was like, yeah, because it's like my stepdad went to Garfield. All his brothers and sisters went to Garfield. My cousin went to Garfield. Like, Garfield had the band. Garfield had the football team. Garfield had every basketball team. It was the Bulldogs, the Pride, everything. I was like, I grew up literally like right on 20th and Main. So that's right down the street from this promenade. And so, like, I'm right there. Like, I wanted to walk to school. And then when we moved to middle school, I moved to 24th and Marion. So that's on the other side of Garfield. So I was like a block away. I want to go to Garfield. You're not sending me to no, because it's like, I don't want to go into those other programs anymore. I was like, I want to be where my people's is at. So I'm not going to, don't push me over there. I want to come in here and like at least try my hand at this.
Right.
Which was I think it was a good decision for myself to do that. And so, because Garfield was I still struggle with education in school because I had set it up in my mind to do that. It was a big change for me, I'll say.
Nice. And then, like, what type of feedback and conversations were you having with your peers who weren't in these programs?
They didn't understand. I didn't really talk about it to them. Honestly, like, the cats would be like, why are you not in our classes? And I'm like, well, you know, I'm just in different classes. Or like, and people didn't really notice. Like, 'cause I think that they just thought that, you know, I was just, you know, I don't know, like people just didn't really notice. Like that's funny. That's funny. I never even thought about that. That's funny. Like I never really had that conversation with my peers. That's funny. And I think it was I didn't have a lot of close friends at that school at Washington. Like really close friends.
But even in high school, you never had those conversations with?
Well, in high school, it changed a little bit.
Yeah.
Because they had the African American Scholars Program, which they switched into doing urban scholars.
Okay.
And so basically what they did was they took a group of black students and put them in cohorts. And so we all had classes together within the AP system. And so that's how they switched it up. And so that kind of made it a little bit better. So we would have our little crew.
Okay.
And it was different. And then you could choose your classes.
Okay.
And so that's why, like, because I was able to choose my classes, I was able to do more things. And then I played football. So then it was like, okay, I had more activities to kind of ingratiate me into the different system.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Nice. What position did you play?
Line.
Okay.
And I quit. I was like,
Grand opening.
I wanted
grand
to play
closing.
defense. They were trying to make me a center, and I was like, no, I'm not. I don't want to.
said Ray Lewis don't play
Ray Lewis don't play center. Yes. Ray Lewis didn't play center, but I quit for the band though. So I was like,
Okay.
yeah,
Oh, you joined band?
yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
What
yeah.
instrument?
I played the saxophone and the drums. I chose the drums in
Nice.
high school, but I still played the saxophone too.
Nice. Do you still play?
Not as much.
Okay.
But
If you
I
picked
still
it up,
can. Yeah, I
okay.
still can play. Yeah.
I definitely don't want to skip over the fact that Washington Middle School and Garfield High School has a hell of a band, and is known for their world class band. Talk about that and what that was like.
Man, it was dope. So actually, I mean, I didn't get into the jazz band. I was in concert band at Washington. I tried jazz band during the summertime. Mr. Nat was always on my head. So, and I just never wanted to practice. So
Practice?
I didn't. Yeah, practice.
We talking about practice?
Not a game. Not a game.
The fact that Garfield had various bands.
Yeah.
I mean,
Speak about that.
well, no, I was just okay. So Cleveland, I went to Cleveland. Sad Cleveland. We didn't have a music program until maybe the last year I was there, and even that was just like some half-assed attempt to just give kids music. Like they had all these instruments donated. We didn't know what we were doing. I wanted to join. I was like, I wanted to play drums too, and I was like, I want to do drums. I didn't learn. I don't know what I did in that class. Honestly, like looking back, I'm like, did I learn anything? What happened? And so the fact that Garfield had at least two. I mean, I don't know how many different music. See, probably 15.
Yes,
You have concert, jazz. What?
Yeah, you had concert, jazz, different levels of jazz bands.
What?
Then you had like regular kind of like concert band. So it was concert band, orchestra, and all the different levels of orchestra.
Yeah.
Then you had the jazz, all the different levels of jazz. Then you had marching band.
What?
And then you had jazz choir.
Oh my gosh.
So it's like, yeah.
We had band and we had orchestra and you had choir.
Yeah.
You got 3 choices.
Yeah. So I did marching band and choir.
Okay.
Yeah.
Singer?
Yes.
Okay.
Baritone.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Wow.
What is that? I'm all sad now. See, should have stayed at Garfield. Dang it.
Yeah, man. I'm gonna tell you should have said that, Garfield.
Man,
Look,
your life would have been different.
no, because the reason why I say this is because Garfield took me to 3 countries. When I was in high
what
school.
countries?
I went to Ghana.
What?
Well, no, 2 countries through Garfield. So Ghana and the Philippines. And so,
Wait,
and this is the program.
Just through the music
Yeah,
program?
Not through the music program. It was another program. See, and that's what it said. Garfield had the programs.
I'm out,
on
leaving.
Lock. On lock. So it
Going
was
back
a-
to high school.
Right? What?
Playing in the band.
Yeah, man. It was a program called Global Technology Academy. And it was his brother. His name was but Mr. Rai. He set up so we would go to Ghana and the Philippines and set up computer labs in like local high schools and stuff like that. So it was a cultural exchange and a technology exchange.
Wow.
And so we would go, like I was in the Philippines for like 2.5 weeks and then Ghana for 2.5 weeks.
What?
And so
what grades?
this is freshman year was the Philippines and then junior year
Wow.
was was Ghana.
So tell me
Yeah.
what that experience was. Had you left the country before?
No.
So
No.
tell me what that experience was like.
Yo, it was dope. It was dope. This is dope. The Philippines, man. So we were lucky enough to have a student with us that's family was from the Philippines.
Okay.
And so when we got in, and we're still friends today, so
Yeah.
it's like we got in, we met her uncles and stuff like that, and
Yeah.
that was really cool. And then we took the drive, and we took the drive from Manila down to like the southern region, like
Yeah.
the Bicol region, and it was just dope. It was just dope, like. Man, as much as I can remember right now, like it's kind of hard without the pictures.
Yeah.
The food was amazing.
Yeah.
I swear, Cass ate there more than I've ever eaten in my life. Never, like it's like breakfast, then mañana, which is like a snack, but it's
Yeah.
like a full meal, and then lunch, and then mañana again, and then dinner. It was like, and everything had rice. Every dish, you're always eating rice.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, how can I eat this? I can't do it.
Right.
And me being the greedy kid that I am, I'm like, I'm eating as much as I can.
You gonna eat that?
Yeah. And it was funny because like before I didn't eat pork,
Yeah.
but
Oh,
my
Filipinos
mom,
eat a bunch of pork.
yeah, my mom and I had a conversation. I was like, she was like, so you know, you're gonna have to eat pork when you get there. And I was like, yeah, I know. And I was like, yeah, that's a bit. He's like, because I'm not gonna go to another country and not eat what
their
they're serving
food.
me. So I'm
Yeah.
just like,
Yeah.
yeah. So I'm just gonna.
I was about to
That's
say.
that's
there's-
pretty thoughtful of you as a ninth grader.
Yeah.
Because I know, I mean, even adults today really picky. So the fact that you're cognizant, like I have to, culturally, that's what they eat, or you know, the dishes will consist of pork, so I must eat it. Because yeah, there's some people, I'm not gonna eat that.
Yeah, there's a ton of pork in Filipino food.
Yeah, it's a lot of pork and fish, man. The tuna out there was
Yeah.
crazy.
Right.
The tuna out there was amazing. And I just remember that. I think it was this one, it's called the Bicol Express. It's like this stir fry of, I don't even remember what it was, but it was amazing. And then tuna, and then, like these like pork rib type things.
Nice.
Yeah, it was good.
Do you still have pictures from that
I do,
trip?
yeah,
Listen, we
yeah.
need those. We need those.
Word.
How did that change your perception of the world and education and life?
Well, so when I first got there, when we first got to the place where we were staying, it was actually funny because it was the first time I've ever been called the N-word was in the Philippines.
What?
Yeah, and it happened multiple times as I was walking down the street.
Wow.
And so my teacher pulled me aside and was like, and this is a white man.
Yeah.
It's cool, but he was real, yeah. And he was just like, I understand what this, I understand how this makes you feel, but you have to realize that some people just don't know any different, and that they're only like, it's not. He was like, I don't think it's intentional. I don't think they're trying to hurt you. And so I know I had to take that, and kind of dodge the bullets on that one. But I'll say that changed my perspective of what I take personal and what I don't. And I think that it's just much big. Like for me, it's like it's bigger. There's more.
Yeah.
It's bigger. I feel like, I don't know how to explain it. I'm trying to figure it out, but like the world is just so big, and so the perspectives are big as well.
Right.
There's so many different perspectives, and honestly, like I don't know. Yeah, let's come back to that.
Yeah,
Let's come back to that. Let's come back to
no,
that.
that's super interesting.
Yeah.
Had you gone to the Philippines, like, I know you were prepared to eat pork, but had you gone to the Philippines with the mindset that I'm going to be black in this Asian country, or was it something that wasn't even brought to your attention until that event happened?
Oh yeah, no, it wasn't brought to my attention until I had that experience.
Wow.
Because for me, I am very cognitive, but at the same time, I can be very aloof.
Right.
And so it's like for me, I'm like, I'll just like walk into situations and be like, la la la, I'm cool, whatever. You're gonna love me because I smile and I'm gonna give you a hug, blah blah blah. So I just walk into situations, just just go. And so, yeah, no, I wasn't even thinking about that.
Wow.
It hadn't even crossed my mind.
That's it.
But then but after that day, the trip opened up, and just we were paired up with students,
Yeah.
and this cat named Anthony. It was just all love.
Yeah.
It was all love after that,
Nice.
and I had the best experience.
Nice.
It was all love, and so
great.
that. So what I will say is him talking to me and saying that and saying like, yo, just don't take this personal.
Yeah.
It just gave me the ability to just open my mind up and accept the rest of the trip,
Right.
and not be mad and not expect other people to judge me in the same way, and just like interact with people for who they were. It's like, okay, all right,
Compare that to your trip to Ghana.
Ooh, Ghana was love.
What
man.
year was that?
Oh man, that was junior year, so that was 2008.
Okay.
And so, yeah, that was love, man. I remember, and I feel like it's kind of a corny story, but yeah, we arrived and Cash was playing drums. You know what I'm saying? There's a big group waiting to accept us into the country.
That's it.
You know what I'm saying? And it was just like all love. He was like, "Oh, we are so glad you're here." Yeah. And I'm like, "Oh," it's like, "Love, give me a hug."
Yeah.
It's like, man, I mean, it really did feel like I came home. I remember getting out of the plane, looking to the sky. I'm like, yo. I looked to the homie. I was like, yo, we're really
In Ghana.
in Africa.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
yo,
Wow.
this is crazy.
That's what's
So
up.
it was really like that. Like, it was like, welcome home.
Yes.
Because the way that people, kind of embraced us was like that. So Ghana was dope from A to Z, man.
What did you do?
So we landed in Accra. I don't think, we didn't stay there at all. We didn't stay there at all. So we immediately hopped on the bus and drove about 14 hours into the central. It's this area called Dunkwa. And it was a boarding school for students all over the country. And so that was just really dope. And so the same program, we go to set up computer labs in the school, and we went around. So we went to Kumasi, which is like a big market town. So it's like a lot of trading, a lot of commerce and things like that, a lot of schools. We went and kind of just toured around there, and we stayed at the school a lot. So we went to class and things like that. Luckily in Ghana they speak English, so it was good because we could just relate and connect with the students. We kicked it. We went to like a little club. We snuck out and went to a little club in the city. It was fun.
Yeah.
It was interesting. But yeah, I got sick. They said the doctor was like, you have a little bit of malaria.
What? A little bit of.
That's exactly what he said. He said, you have a little bit of malaria.
Damn it.
I was like, what? What is a little bit of malaria? What is that?
This was in Ghana.
This is in Ghana. A little bit. Like, what is a little bit of malaria?
Right.
But yeah, funny because at the end, again, these are like two of the people I went on the trip with, still my friends today.
Nice. How many students were on the trip? Or both trips?
It's been like 15 of us.
Oh, because that's
It's 15
pretty
of us. Yeah.
like small number.
Yeah.
They said
It's a really good group.
They said Damien went out to the club and caught malaria.
A little bit, just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Caught a little bit of
Just a
malaria. I
smidge,
don't know.
just a
Damn it.
I just remember one of my standing memories. Those two standing memories was, three. Well, not the little bit of malaria, and then I remember just the choir, like that choir. And because whenever you hear like West African choirs, like it's like Ghana, Nigeria, you'll get it's like this. It's this energy in the choir and how they sing. It's crazy. And I remember just being in the hall and them singing, and it was just an amazing, amazing feeling. And then, having a crush on the women out there. I remember my good friend Calvin, he fell in love, like literally fell in love.
I'm not coming home, mama.
Yes. And kept in contact with her for a little bit after. I swear, if I called him right now and asked him, hey bro, when was the last time you talked to Lucky?
He
like,
named
what?
her by name.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I remember that because but it was crazy it was crazy. Yeah.
He said, "I was a boy at Garfield. I was a man in Ghana. I'm not coming home."
Tore up his
yo,
passport.
this is what had me falling in love with women with short hair. Because everybody has their hair. Nobody had hair.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, man, I'm in love out here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But at 15, 16.
So going on your trip abroad, how did that affect your understanding of your own culture?
I guess for me, it took me out, man. Like mindset wise, I felt like, all right, if this is what life can be like, I am not bothered with what's going on back home. And I think I still have that today. Like I still live in my own world and my own perspective. And I'm like, I'm not bothered with a lot of the things that are going on because it just, if I do, then I'm very sensitive. So if I do, then it'll affect my mood too much. So it's like, for me, it gave me a sense of distance. And from that, I can look at American culture, at Black American culture, from kind of an outside view instead of just being in it. And so I think that's what that did. It gave me a bigger worldview, a bigger perspective of other cultures, so that then I can relate it to our culture, and and be able to say, you know, okay, these are the things that I accept, and these are the things that I don't accept, and these are the things that I relate with, and these are the things that I don't necessarily relate with, and kind of creating my own culture within a culture. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, I can't, like, honestly, I don't even, at that point in my schooling and in my life, like, I don't even remember class because I was always doing something else. Yeah. And so at that point, like, I had made it a point for me to just, you know, kind of just step out and just know, like, okay, like, there's another way. Like I said, there's another way. Like, I just feel like the way cats hustle and the way the people move in these countries, and it's very similar between Ghana and Philippines. If you go to the market district, it's very similar. The hustle, negotiating, and like just the sheer, like, just being able to just like creating your own life, and not waiting for anybody to create anything for you, and not depending on anything but yourself to get what you need. And I think that that's what I saw, and that's what I adopted for myself. I was like, okay, I need to go get this. I need to go get whatever I want, because the thing is that nobody's going to give it to me, and I'm not going to be comfortable until I get it myself. And so it's like, you know, that, and then also being out the country is like, oh, I got to get back out the country. So it was like, for me, it was like, okay, I got to get back, and I gotta, you know, so whatever I can do to get out the country again, to travel more, I'm going to do it. And so for me, it took me out. So it was like, it took my mind out of the circumstances that I was in. It made me a lot. It eased my pain a little bit, you know.
Absolutely.
So the same year I went to Ghana, I went to Japan. So I went to Ghana in February. I went to Japan in July. And so that was dope, because we had the at home, I had a hosting experience. So I stayed with the family for a week. And that was really dope, because they like, I felt like family, like immediately. Luckily, the mom, which I'm so sad on, it was a long time ago, so I don't remember everybody's name. She learned English by listening to a radio every day. And so she would listen to the radio and she learned English. And so we were able to talk, and she would like just really give me the ins on Japanese culture. Wow. And we would just really sit there and have conversation. Like, I'm 16 at the time. Yeah. And she's literally sitting here having conversation about culture as if I'm an adult. Yeah. She would tell me about her husband and what her husband does, her children and how the children does, and things like that. And it was just so dope, man. It was just like, I think that gave me, like, that was another thing that kind of eased my pain when it came down to like being able to interact with different cultures and things like that, and understanding that, like I said, like, people don't have that perspective. Like, it's not America. This is not America. This is a whole different culture with whole different pretenses, a whole different perspective. Right. And so it's just the amount of love that she showed, and the way she took me in and showed me around and took me shopping with her. Nice. She just was like we were riding around in her car, and like it was just super.
What part of Japan?
We were in Kobe.
Okay.
So we split the time between Kobe and Osaka. Nice. And it was dope. And then we got to go off like into like this like other area right outside the city and like be on the water and stuff like that.
Okay.
You know, kind of be with kids because it was the YMCA. It was a program through the YMCA, and I'm pretty sure that they still have it.
Yeah.
I'm not exactly sure where to look, but if you look at some of their travel programs, they go to like Japan, Thailand, and things like that. So,
wow.
Yeah,
We'll
they
find
take
it.
students. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
legit.
So it was super dope.
I
Super dope.
went to Kobe. I proposed in Japan, and so I've been back to Japan a few times since teaching English, and we went to Hiroshima this time.
Okay.
Because I had never been, and I was like, I've been to Japan so many different times. I have to go see this memorial. And so on our way back to Tokyo from Hiroshima, we stopped in Kobe because I wanted some Kobe beef.
Yes.
And that shit was amazing.
It was amazing. Wow. Yeah, it was. That, by the way, that museum was crazy.
Right?
Did you?
Yo.
I don't know if I can go back.
Yeah.
It's
It's intense.
It's intense. It's like they
intense.
really hit it hard. Like, yo.
But just the thing that amazed me the most about the memorial and the museum was the things that they collected. Just everything, right? Pretty much. Like they collected everything and they were like, touch it, feel it, smell it, listen to it, because this was such a tragic time in history that we never want this to happen again. And so we want everyone who comes in here to feel the same way. What did y'all get from it?
the same.
I think the exact same thing. Yeah, pretty much. They wanted you to really know.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It was. It was deep. I don't know. There was a lot of stuff that I saw where I thought this is too much. Like I'm really glad I went, but I don't know if I can go back.
Right.
I went to the Holocaust Museum in DC. Did you see that when you were there? Oh, I can't go back. It's very similar, like the experience. You know, the same message, like this happened.
Yeah.
Let's never let this happen again. And here's why, you know.
Right.
Yeah, man.
That's dope.
Put that in the same box as like going to, not like again going to Ghana and going to the slave castle. It's like that's in the same box. Like when it comes to that experience, and like just like, wow, like wow, this is what happened. This is what one human did to another. Come on, man.
That's crazy.
It's crazy.
That is.
But I will say,
And so, going into senior year at Garfield High School, you knew that you were going to college. Paint the picture of what that was like, and also thinking about what it was like for your peers and the folks around you in your school.
So, my mom and my dad went to Howard. They met there, and here, there, ergo, I'm here now. And so they didn't finish, and so they came back. My mom moved back to Seattle, and so going in, I always knew. I had the Howard T-shirts. I had the Howard everything. I knew from jump I was going to Howard. There was nothing stopping me from going to Howard.
The Mecca.
Period. I think I applied to like one other. I think I applied to Morehouse, and I didn't even want to apply to Xavier. I was like, nah, I'm not doing that. I applied to UW and then like Eastern Washington or something like that. But I knew, I was like, nah, all eggs in one basket. So going into senior year, I think I was a little more calm than everybody else because I knew that. And I was like, this is where I'm going. This is what I'm doing. I have no other options. And even if I don't get in, I will go to community college and transfer because I'm not doing anything else. So yeah, I think I was a little bit calmer. So again, I was in that program, African American scholars turned urban scholars, and so they would help us with college prep and applications and things like that. And so we would all be in a group doing it together. And so, you know, it was fun. It was fun because we had the community around it. You know, we would go visit colleges. We would talk to colleges. People would come and you know, talk to us and things like that. So it was like me and like all my friends just doing it together.
Nice.
And then they brought in people from UW to help us. And I remember this one brother that came, and he was just hella cool, like helped me write my college essay. And he would just like talk to me and be like, yo, this is how you should think about it, this is how you should do. Shout out to Miss Jenkins. She used to be the advisor up at Garfield. She was always in our corner, you know, saying, this is what you need to do, this is what you need to do, recommendations. And, you know, because I was so active, everybody knew me, so I had recommendations. Mr. LeBee up there, you know, Mr. Howard even, you know, and like, it was actually a very pleasurable experience for me, because I just kind of went into it very calm.
Nice.
Very calm. Although my grades were not that good, I felt that I had done so much in high school that I was like, all right, I'm gonna play to my strengths, play to my activities, and then we're gonna go from there. And then I did well in the SAT, so then it was like, okay,
Oh, nice.
you know, I got the knowledge,
Yeah.
you know, I just don't really do well in that structure,
Right.
which I think I was just very calm. Like my senior year, I was already gone. Like I was, my mind.
Senioritis.
Yeah, I had senioritis.
Bad.
Like I said, like I really don't remember any of my classes. I don't remember much because I was always doing activities, and then I had already
Mentally checked
left.
out.
I had checked out already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So tell me about day one arriving at the Mecca.
Man, I remember because I remember exactly what I was wearing, man. Because I was wearing, you know, I've always been a bigger brother, so it's like I was wearing these shorts, these cargo shorts, this black shirt with a black graphic tee, and then these like reflective black dunks.
Very
And
Seattle.
I was very Seattle. I had my locks. I just got them twisted up. I was feeling fresh. And I remember walking on that campus and immediately felt like a bum. Immediately felt like a bum. I remember I was like, what? I was like, oh, hold up. These cats is wearing, I remember, oh my goodness, these cats was wearing suit and tie, like young cats, suit and tie. You know what I'm saying? Shaved up. Nobody had locks at the time. You know what I'm saying? Except for DC people that were from DC. But I mean, I hadn't even seen that yet. You know, I remember the skinny jean, like not like the straight leg jeans with the tapered calf. Sperry's. Oh my goodness!
Oh, wow.
I was like, cats wear Sperry's? What? Brothers wear Sperry's? What is going on? Like,
Where are we?
what, polo? You're wearing polo? I didn't even know brothers wore polo. Like, what are you doing? Like, the whole rugby swag, the little polo hats. I'm like, okay. Yeah, I remember immediately feeling like a bum. But being excited as well. Just being super excited. Luckily for me, it was 9 of us from Garfield that went to Howard. Yeah, so we all went. It was one of my best friends, and then there was like 6 other girls that got into Howard, and we all came at the same time. So that was good.
That's nice.
It was good and bad because it was good because I had that support,
Right.
and we all had the same experiences. But it was bad because, you know, kind of we leaned on that.
Right.
We leaned on that, and kind of was hard to meet new people. So. Yeah, I remember that first day just being like, I remember we still have the picture too, so it was just all happy. Just
I need that
boom,
too.
boom, boom. But then after you get there, and then, you know, my mom and my pops, they drop me off in the dorm. And, you know, I'm staying in Drew Hall, which is the hall that everybody wants to stay in. It's Drew Hall. It's Drew Hall.
Bye, Mom.
You know?
Bye, Dad.
Yeah. Peace out, you know. And then, so then you go, you meet your roommate. My roommate was cool. We didn't end up kicking it like that, actually, because I was in business school and he was in band and he was in the music program. So we were like always had 2 different lives, and he was hella busy all the time. And so we all gathered up in the gym. They gathered us up in the gym, in the bottom of the gym, and then you meet heck of different freshmen and all that stuff, and then they bring you out into the field, right? And then everybody in the school, like people in the school that are there already, they're in the stands, just like, and it was like all this room, we're all walking into the field, like, yo, this is Howard. We're walking into the football field. Yo, this is Howard. Like, we're all in there. They put us into the end of the day. We all go into the stands. I remember the first couple people I met, they were just talking to us, like, welcome to Howard, blah, 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 blah. And then you break up, and then you meet these campus pals, which are the people that kind of aid you into the culture of Howard.
Yeah.
And so you go into those meetings, you meet new people. It was just crazy. It was just all around crazy. And that's freshman week.
Yeah.
They have a lot of events. They have all these parties. And then, it was,
Wow.
what, see, what?
Black people, what?
Everywhere?
Educated black people?
Everywhere. What? So I remember what you were talking about before we started, that ideal of, hey, I can go party on the weekends and then still get straight A's. So that idea for me was reserved for white people. And then you get here and it's like, hold up, what? Oh man, you're getting these 4.0s, but then still, getting lit on the weekends. You know what I'm saying? And coming into class and really banging it out. And I was like, oh wow, I didn't know we did that. I didn't know we did. I didn't know we did that. But yeah.
What was that experience like culturally, being in DC, being at Howard?
It was interesting. It was a culture shock. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I had never really been. I thought it was going to be easy being around, all black people all the time. And so it was a culture shock at first. For my self-image, just being, like I said, being a bigger brother my whole life. I always had self-image issues or things like that. And so just kind of working on that, going through college and just finding my place, also going from being like the one into being the many. Mm-hmm. And so that was a change as well for me, actually having to prove myself. Mm-hmm. So that was a change for me. And then also I really did think that going to Howard would fix my attitude around education, around structured education, and it didn't. And so that was an interesting thing to learn and to realize out there. Is because so I realized that, okay, it really is me. It really is me. It really is something it's a mental thing that I have to change. Mm-hmm. And so I didn't realize that until a little bit too late. Going to Howard kind of gave me that perspective. Mm-hmm. And then also it just, like, going to Howard, I always tell people that, like, you didn't have to be black anymore. You know what I'm saying? You were just a person. You were just, you're walking around like, it was more than that. It was like, oh no, you're from New Jersey. And that's your culture because you're from New Jersey. You're from Atlanta, and that's your culture because you're from Atlanta. Or you're from the Caribbean, which we have no type of connection to out here in Seattle.
Right.
But like, you get that whole Caribbean, Trinidad, Jamaica, Bahamas, Barbados, and then you start to talk, and get into those cultures and things like that, and it's like, wow, there's more. And then you have all the West Africans, which, I mean, we do now, but West African culture is not really prevalent here in Seattle. Right. Again, it is out there, so it's like, wow, like, you got all of these things, and then you get to meet new people, and then you realize it's more like, it's just like a cultural thing. It's like, this is, you realize how much more culture is important than actual race. It's like, okay, I see now, and it's just to be able to, I'll say, again, like, it strips away, I feel like Howard strips away at, having to deal with racism, but then it also makes you deal with yourself. Right. In that setting. It makes you, now you can then look and identify your core values and your core personality traits, and then identify, recognize, and then work on those things.
Right.
Yeah, that's what it did for me.
Right.
I'll say. Where
did you find community?
Everywhere, man. Like, Howard was big on community. Howard, it was like they had community for communities. They had a group for every single solitary thing. Like, first you get into Drew Hall, and so they really want you to, your brother's at Drew Hall. So, Drew Hall, we had the stroll team, the step team. So it's like for the dorm. And so you find community in that. And then I was in business school, and then they break you up into groups. And so then you find community into that. So you're in a cohort, you're in like a group, you're a business team. And then you guys make presentations together. You guys kick it a lot together. And then so you find community in that. And then you have like your Seattle club. So you have community in that. And then for me, it was like the radio. When I did that, there was community in that. And it was like, then it was just a lot of different things, like a lot of small things that you could just involve yourself in all the time. And it's just like, you can really find anything that suits you out there, especially now. Like, Howard's changed So, I mean, Howard's always changing, but I feel like the students take a lot of initiative when it comes to like creating groups for things that they like. And so you can always find that.
And people would kill me if I didn't ask you about the infamous Howard homecoming.
Ooh. Yeah, man. You know, it's funny because I don't think I'm going this October. And so I never really did it right. I never did it right. My first year, I ended up I just went too hard. And so I ended up being sick the whole weekend, like the sickest I've ever been in my life. Like,
A little bit of malaria.
A little bit of
Yeah, a little bit of malaria.
Yo, pretty much, yeah. I caught that malaria back.
right.
I think the rest of it came along, you know. But yeah, man. So that was the first year. I went to the Step Show. I was cracking, man. Yeah. Step Show Yard Fest was crazy. You see all these beautiful people just sitting in the middle of the yard. You know, all the you know, all the performances and stuff like that. So,
what about Seattle culture did you bring to DC, or did you find yourself bringing to DC, or was there anything that distinctively Seattle that people pointed out for you outside of the outfits and the in the t-shirts?
I think it was the open. I think it was the open-mindedness and the love that we have here in Seattle. I think, you know, people aren't used to that, so it's like, you know, I think Seattle people largely are open arms when it comes to meeting new people. Now, you may not actually kick it with them very often because, you know, we be off in our own world, but when they see you, it's all love. So when we see you, it's all love. And I think that the energy that you bring is like the general disposition. I think people are attracted to that and they love it. So it's like whenever, like, yeah, I met a dude from Seattle before. Hella cool. So I think that it's just like that kind of culture, just being like, hey, what's going on? And just being really, really positive. This is that positive energy and just like having that through and through.
When you're walking down the street and you pass by a stranger, do you make eye contact and smile?
All the time.
So did you do that at Howard? And people are like, what are you doing? That's weird.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
They're like, you're not from here, are you?
Yeah, no, you're
from somewhere else.
Yeah, you're gonna know me. You're gonna know me. It's like, it's just, you're not, I don't give you very much of an option. So it's like, if I see you more than once, then I feel like I know you already. So I'll be like, yo, what's good? Yo, how you doing? And just, that's just how it is. Like, I don't know. I think a lot of people who are from here are like that as well. I think just being like, hey, you know. So,
how did DC culture influence you moving forward?
The way you have to be direct out there and not beat around the bush or not try to infer what you're saying, it makes you think about things a little differently. So you have to say what you want, when you want it, and how you want it. And you have to communicate with that type of energy. So it's like, I think that definitely, it gave me a little more drive. It gave me a little bit more edge.
Seattle is very passive aggressive.
Seattle's very passive. DC's not passive at all.
No.
East Coast, yeah. East Coast, very straightforward.
Nah.
Like, are you mad at me? No.
No, I'm not mad at you.
Don't have time. Why do you have time?
Yeah.
Apparently.
Yeah, pretty much. It's just like the East Coast, man. It's just people move like with assertion everywhere. You know, it's like if you're walking with a purpose.
Yep.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? If you're driving to go somewhere. Unlike out here, you're driving just to drive.
Right.
Cruising, yeah.
It's like, I think I'll look at some flowers right now. Like, come on, bro. Like,
We got places
I got places to be. So, yeah.
Did you graduate?
I did not.
Okay.
I did not. And I ended up, so I have 1 year left. And I'm sad, but I'm not. Because again, it came back to the point of, I realized that formal education is just not the structure in which I learned the best. And so even though I went there with the purpose for finishing for my parents, I realized it's not, I couldn't do it. Because sitting in a class and listening to somebody talk is just not the way that I learn. I learn by doing things. I learn by experiences, and then being able to take those experiences and then read about them, then look for what I want to know, and then learn everything else that has to do with it. So I'm more do it, see if it works. All right, what didn't work about what I just did, and now let me read up about how I can make that better. And so I think that's what I learned. And so I ended up leaving Howard my junior year, at the end of my junior year, and going to work in the restaurant industry. And so that was a lot of my DC experience too. So like just getting out and working within different restaurants, bartending, managing, things like that. And so that took me on a different path, and I learned a lot. I learned a lot about the industry, and I knew that I always wanted to be in the food industry. I knew going into Howard, it was on my Howard application that I was going to go to Howard, get my education, stay out there for a few years, and then come back. So that was always my plan. So I just knew, and I wanted to get that experience. So I went out and started working at restaurants.
So you knew you'd always come back to Seattle. Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, no, it's cool. I changed. I almost changed my mind because I got into a relationship. You know, I was like, oh, I'm in love. I'm in love. I'm gonna move out. I'm gonna stay out here forever and be in love. But nah, even then, we both knew that I was gonna end up coming back. Yeah. Because one of my biggest gripes about Seattle is all the dope people leave. All the dope people leave are all the people that you knew that were doing things. They went to college and never came back.
Yeah.
And so it just is
Especially
like
black folks.
especially black folks. And it's like, man, like who's gonna be the example for the next generation? Who's gonna be able to say, hey, I'm doing some dope stuff. Let's
connect.
Let's connect. So I think that's changing now because I see a lot of dope stuff happening out here now. So it's like, yeah.
We shall see.
That brown girl cooks, man. Yeah, it was it. I grew up. My mom, Christy Brown, she owned a catering company. It was That Brown Girl Catering at the time. And so I used to do that a lot too. So I used to skip school just to go work for her and go on catering jobs, deliver catering jobs. I learned how to drive on catering jobs. So that's why I drive very crazy right now. But I always loved it. I always loved the industry. I always knew that, I saw the value in the brand. I liked the name, and I knew that she was a dope chef, and I never wanted to cook ever, but I always wanted to run the business side. And so I was like, yeah, we just gonna make it work. And so I went out to college, and I studied hospitality management. My dream was to come back and build up the business, open up my own restaurant, and do that. And so that's just been the plan. That's
nice.
Yeah, I would like, because it really is exciting. Like, I was excited about it. I was like, damn, I see where we can go. And it didn't even matter because at the time when I decided this, we weren't even making hummus. And so she closed the business down my senior year of high school. And so I was kind of sad because it was like, okay, well, what am I going to do now? So, but then like, it was the year before, like 6 months before I came back. No, a year before I came back, she talked about the hummus. I was like, what? I don't know if you can't see my facial expression, but I was like, who eats hummus and why? Like, what are you doing? Like, why are you going to make hummus? Like, I knew, but she'd always been making it, the Black Eyed Pea hummus, and people always loved it. But I was like, okay, but it ain't that special. So I ended up going out, and I remember I came back from my uncle's wedding, and I remember I told my girlfriend before I left, I was like, yo, what would it, how would you feel if I moved back? I wanted to build it up. I wanted it to become a staple for my family,
Give us the rundown of what is That Brown Girl Cooks.
What we call That Brown Girl Cooks is a culinary collective. It's a collective of ideas, inspirations. We take our collective experiences and bring them back to the communities we serve. And so basically, we're visionaries. So we like to collect all types of different experiences. We go out to eat somewhere. We'll go. Like you said, I'm big on travel, so I'm gonna travel somewhere. I'm gonna take that experience. I'm gonna take this experience. I'm gonna, think about it in my mind, and then we're gonna come up with a concept, and then bring it back here, and feed it to you. And so although hummus, so we make hummus out of black eyed peas and sell it in stores. We in natural food markets like PCC, Whole Foods, Central Co-op, but we also do catering, food events and things like that. And then she also teaches cooking classes, and we're getting into some media production as well.
Nice.
And so we want to be pretty much a full service kind of food brand that kind of just involves various aspects within the culinary industry.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up.
Yeah.
I need to talk to you about catering after.
Yeah. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Listen, she was like, "Oh, is he gonna bring samples?" I was
Should've.
like,
I
I don't know. And then I lied. I was like,
man.
I'm gonna stop by Central Co-op and I'm gonna grab some just for the podcast. Man, I got it. I got it. I own
So, there was, what was it, the open house for this?
Shelf Life Open House.
And there was some, and so my friend and I were like, what is this? This is amazing.
Yeah. It was delicious.
Yeah,
Like,
thank
what?
you.
delicious.
Yeah.
Thank you.
What so what are the different flavors, and then how do people reach out?
So we the different we have an original, which is a Cajun profile, and so we have our own blended seasonings. It's black eyed pea hummus, and so we basically took out the garbanzo. Hummus is usually made with garbanzo, and so we switched it up. So that story behind there's a story behind that.
Okay.
And so my mom used to work at Kingfish. So Kingfish, which is like one of the a very historic soul food restaurant, specifically because of the decor and the upscale nature in which they presented themselves.
Yeah.
And so, Kingfish was very, very much a staple for a long time. And so she started off there, and her head chef at the time was like, hey, I want you to meld some cultures. So she took black eyed peas, staple in the southern, staple in West Africa, India, and in southern cultures, and then mixed it with hummus. So for the original is we take the black eyed peas, our own blend of spices, it's the Cajun spices, a mild pepper sauce, and then the rest of it is normal hummus, so tahini, lemon, garlic. Mix that up. And then our other flavor, which is slow burn, is Ethiopian inspired. So I mean, being from Seattle, growing up in the CD, that roll on cherry, we were all I grew up eating Ethiopian food my whole life, and so it's like, okay, we love bear. We love lamb tips, and so bear is like a very earthy spice. I call it the East African Cajun because it really is like just a blend of East African spices, and so we take that. And that's what comprises the slow burn. Nice. is Ethiopian bear.
Nice. We're gonna have to get permission from Christy Brown.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we may have to take all of this out of the podcast. Said, David hopped on a podcast and giving away the secret recipes.
Oh no, you good. You're good. Yeah. We also have a curry flavor. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna put out in the summertime.
Nice.
But it's gonna be called Hot Fire.
Can people only get the hummus and the products here in Seattle, or can they get them like if I live in the South End or if I live out of the state? Like, how do I get my hands on products?
For right now, so South End, I mean anywhere in the Seattle metropolitan area, including like Kent Federal Way, Tacoma, things like that, or like Greenwood, you can get it like Eastern, anywhere in like the metropolitan area, you can get it. So if you're in the South End, I say Marlene's Market in Federal Way or in Tacoma. Yeah. And East Side, the PCCs and the Whole Foods and things like that.
Okay.
If you're out of state, we're not there yet.
Okay.
We're working on it. We're working on the shipping. It just takes a lot for us to kind of build that up and make it cost effective. But yeah. All right.
And links will be in the description.
Yeah. Check us out, thatbrowngrowcooks.com, thatbrowngrow.com.
Yes.
And all of our information is on there if you want to know more about catering and things like that.
Yes. Tell us more about how folks can get y'all to cater at their events, and what types of catering do y'all do?
So, again, just check us out. My information is under the contact section, and all catering inquiries just come through there.
Nice.
And so for the type of catering, we do all different types. A lot of the catering we get right now is from nonprofits. And so we definitely we like to just craft a menu that's going to be cost effective for you, but also kind of give you a variety and something for like small bites and things like that. We do full service catering. Nice. And like what we call our kind of a catering style is like Seattle Soul. Mm-hmm. So basically it's the idea that we take, being from Seattle, we are exposed to various cultures and various influencers throughout the world, and it's something that we eat on the often, and so we take all of those influences and kind of put them in. So we'll find, you might see some again Ethiopian food on there. You might see some like inspired. We're not gonna just straight jack the recipe, but inspired by Ethiopian food, inspired by Vietnamese food, inspired by Chinese, Japanese food, things like that, and then we bring it into our catering and kind of just display that.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
I have ideas churning.
Yeah.
Man, this has been super dope. This has been super dope, and
I appreciate it.
Even the connection through what y'all are doing as far as preserving not only Black culture through African Americans, through East African culture, but also through other cultures that inspire the foods that y'all cook. And when I think about culture, food is at the center of so many different cultures. And so, thank you. Please,
thank you so much.
Yes, and so follow the links in the description where you'll be able to find That Brown Girl Cooks, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. So thank you for what you do in the city. Thank you for what you do to our stomachs, and thank you for being on No Blueprint.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I appreciate you having me. Thank you. What's going on, everybody? This is Damon Bomar coming to you live from the Shelf Life Studios, representing That Brown Girl Cooks, representing Seattle, and representing the Central District. Thank you for having me.
All right.